Hello, Not Avenue family. It is my privilege to bring to you today's word of encouragement. And it's really an encouragement from the heart where I've been challenged. We're going to start off by looking at Romans 12:15, which says, "Rejoice with those who rejoice, and weep with those who weep." It's easy to rejoice with people who are rejoicing if we can enter in their party, right? We can celebrate the good things. But weeping with those who weep is a whole different story. Usually people weep because there's a time of misfortune, a time of loss. And if we're going to weep with people who weep, we're going to enter into what they're experiencing emotionally. And that can be hard because that's not just something I can do with my head. That's something that I do with my heart as I jump in. Now, sometimes it's easier for us to say at a safe distance, "Hey, I'll pray for you." And let me just do for that and not jump in with my heart. But really, God calls us to weep with those who weep and to be part of that emotionally. Now, when I have somebody in my life group, which I've had in the past couple months, have a death or something misfortunate, I can relate to that. And it's easy for me to enter in because I can think of deaths in my family or surgeries in my family, and I can understand that. But recently I've had a situation where I don't know how to enter in and be sympathetic and weep. One of the ladies in my life group has a daughter who's 9 years old, and she's black, and she doesn't know if it's going to be safe for her to live, if she's going to be able to grow up and be safe and understand things and how they work out. I'm called to be sympathetic for the person who's lost a family member, and I can empathize with that. But I'm also called to weep with somebody who is fearful for her life, a 9-year-old, because of her skin color. She doesn't know if she can be safe. This time that we've had recently with the protests has been eye-opening, and it's been and when I look at my own life group and I see somebody that we love in our life group and her daughter who's in fear, it changes my heart. And so this past Friday in the city of Cyprus, they had a protest march and for injustice and also to support Black lives. And so my son and we went down to be part of that. I wanted to support and come alongside and speak against injustice. And I also wanted to understand. And I know that my mind and my heart needed to open up as I came to weep with those who weep. And as I prayed, as I marched, I thought, man, there are hurting people here. And I want to support them. And they're hurting enough to express things with deep passion. And I supported some of those things. And some of the things I saw were written on signs, and there were some great signs. There were some signs that really were challenging. And then there were some signs that were kind of goofy and maybe didn't make sense. But one sign that really challenged me was the sign that says, "All lives don't matter," which a lot of people like to say, hey, all lives matter. It's not just Black lives. But this one sign that said, "All lives don't matter until Black lives matter." And I realized, man, that means that I need to come alongside and weep with those who weep, to support those who need to support, who help those who are in fear. And I thought, man, I need to do that, and I want to be a part of that. See, it started off as something that I was exposed to with my life group, but it didn't really just happen there. See, when the All-Star game happened here in Anaheim a number of years ago, I took my son to the All-Star Fan Fest. And at the All-Star Fan Fest, we had a good time. And as we're walking out, I ran into five-time All-Star center fielder Torrey Hunter of the Angels. And I looked at him and I looked at my son and said, "That's Torrey Hunter of the Angels." And I threw my baseball hat on him and I said, Mr. Hunter, would you be willing to take a picture with my son?" And man, he was great. He was encouraging, and he came alongside my son and took the picture. Well, because of that, my son and I, every time there'd be an Angel game up, "Hey, Torrey Hunter's up the bat, Caden." He'd run over and we'd be cheering for him. But I found out that he's not only a 5-time All-Star, but he's Black life that was mistreated. See, one time when Torrey's family was off and out of state, he was home by himself in the Newport Coast Homes, a pretty well-to-do place, right? And his alarm got tripped, and he fixed it. But an hour later, big pounding knock came at the door. Two policemen with guns drawn were at the door, and one of them immediately put his gun down, going, I recognize you. I'm not sure who you are, but I recognize you. But the other one didn't recognize him at all, and just gave it to him. Put his gun in his back, marched him up until Tori could say, hey, this is my home. This is my home, and I'll show you my ID. And when he finally showed him his ID, the guy said, oh, hey, I'm an Angel fan. Can you give me some tickets? And so Torrey Hunter shared, man, even his home in Newport Coast Hills, which most people are going to say, hey, those people are okay. He was deemed as not being okay. You know, one of the things I found out in Torrey Hunter's contract is he has a no trade clause to one city in the United States. He says, I will not play in Boston, because every time he plays in Boston, he has racial slurs sent his way all the time. And they're not just by adults. He says he has young kids calling him bad things, and their parents just sit by and mock him. And so I thought, man, this is somebody that we cheered for that was persecuted. You know, many of you have seen recently Michael Jr., his comments about his situation on social media. I first got to meet Michael Jr. and was exposed to him at a pastor's conference in 2007. And recently, through the COVID thing, he's been playing some great stuff. But he shared about how he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and because of his skin color, he had a gun at the back of his head. And he was fearful for his whole life. Why? Because he's a black man. I don't understand that, but I need to sympathize with that. I need to weep in that situation. I need to come alongside. And it got personal, even in a greater way, on our staff. One of the great team members of the Knott Avenue Christian Church staff is a man named Adrian Durley. When this all started coming down, I said, Adrian, tell us what you feel. Tell us what you think. What have you experienced? Adrian shared a couple things and that were kind of discouraging, kind of hurting, and I wanted to come alongside. But one of the things Adrian shared is that when he was dating his now wife, when she was in college before they got married, she was going to college at Chapman College in the city of Orange. Adrian would drive to go see her, and he would get pulled over. Why? Cops said no reason. It may have looked like he was speeding, but when he asked, hey, was I speeding? They said, no, we can't get you for speeding. Well, why'd you pull me over? Well, we thought we needed to look at something. So Adrian shared with us how he was hurt, how he was kind of profiled. And so, Adrian matters to me. This young girl who's the daughter of one of the people in my life group, she matters to me. I'll never really know Torrey Hunter. He won't remember that time where he met my son and took a picture with him. And Michael Jr. wouldn't know me from anybody else. But if all lives are going to matter, black lives need to be a part of that. And I need to come alongside, and I need to be empathetic. I need to be sympathetic. I need to not only rejoice with those who rejoice, but weep with those who weep. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 8 says, finally, all of you, live in harmony with one another. Be sympathetic. So if I can't walk in their shoes like I walk with some of the people in my life group who maybe had somebody pass, a death or surgery or something physically tragic that I can identify with and empathize with, the Bible also says, be sympathetic. Love his brothers. Be compassionate and humble. And this is a challenge for me. And I don't know about you, but it's not only opening my mind, but it's opening my heart. And I'm going to ask God, how can I come alongside at this time to weep with those who weep, along with rejoicing with those who rejoice, to be sympathetic, to live in harmony with one another, is 1 Peter 3:8 says, to love his brothers and to be compassionate and to be humble. I don't have it all down, folks, and I'm going to ask that you would pray for me, that God would continually open up my mind and open up my heart. And as a pastor at Knott Avenue Christian Church, I want to pray for you, that God would open up your heart and open up your mind to be one of those people who, because all lives matter to God, black lives also matter. And we want to come alongside them. In the same way that last summer, Japanese lives mattered to God. And then when we've gone down to the Apache Reservation, those lives matter to God. But right now I want to come alongside people who are are hurting because of the injustice, who are hurting because of unfair treatment, of being targeted in ways that they shouldn't be. So pray for me, please, and I will pray for you. So let's take this challenge and let's kneel humbly before God. I pray that you be blessed. I pray that you be sympathetic. I pray that you be empathetic, and that God would get the glory from all of that.